Okay. So thank you. So I think we will just start with a quick common question for all our panelists, and welcome once more. Um, so maybe just to ask, and I'll start with the very far end with Frida. In your view, what does AI readiness look like in public institutions? Where do you think we are starting from?
First, I think I need to rebuttal about years of experience. They are vast, but also thanking the Connected Summit because today I get to meet somebody I was in nursery school with in the same panel. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. I know. So what does AI readiness look like? AI readiness looks like in public sector in two ways. So we have to give it a two-phase. So first, uh, public sector getting ready to be an enabler. So that's the first component. So by enabling, it means there is digital skills program, there's data and governance, and most of the things that were shared. And the second party is as a user. So experimenting and getting to use and learning as the government moves forward in forming policy, but also experiencing at the same track. AI readiness also looks at the readiness would be determined by long-term visions around investing in, infrastructure, having plans and budgets that have to do with it. And that is some of the things that even as an institute, the Tony Blair Institute, we try as much as we can, working with government leaders and governments for them to think through strategies, policy, delivery, and believing that technology is an enabler of the three. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Engineer Mwoki. Same question. In your view, what does AI readiness look like in public institutions? And where do you think we are starting from?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. For me, I see in public institutions bring about a new way of doing infrastructure. I'm also seeing, for us coming from the energy sector, I'm seeing growth in demand for electricity, growth for demand in provision of reliable electricity. Because for you to really do computer processing, computer-related infrastructures, and all that goes with AI, definitely electricity is one of the biggest requirements. Therefore, I see growth in ICT connectivity, and I see growth in electricity reticulation, and I see more regulations coming in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Engineer Mwoki. Same question for you, Joan?
Yes, Mike.
Yeah.
So for me, how I look at AI in the public sector generally is reimagining, it's not about technology only, but reimagining how the government serves us. Now, when you talk about government services, I want to walk into, for example, Huduma Center, and through a facial recognition, already the services already know what I need. For example, if I enter, number one is welcome, Joanne. How can we process your ID? Go and check in counter number 2. My ID should be ready in 24/7. If I'm an architecture, or a real estate investor, my structural building should be, approved within 24 hours because of AI technology. If I'm an entertainment person, then my licenses and my music should be streamed live immediately I compose. That is how I look at AI in the public sector.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Joan. And finally, with you, Sam. Sam.
Thank you, Mike. I wonder whether you managed to guess my age. Probably not. So, yesterday, I was listening to Ambassador Philip Figo. I think he was launching the Kenya Italy hub. And he said something very profound that I really needed to quote verbatim. He said AI will inject $2.4 billion in our GDP by 2030.
Okay.
And it will create 30,000 jobs in Kenya by 2028. Then he went on to say, this is a unique opportunity, and the cost of inaction is grave to the economy. So he said it's a race, and we have to be in the race. So how can we be in the race? And I know many speakers here have talked about data as the new oil. So we need to have clean data, a lot of data to be able to build models that really make sense. We really also need to be able to find use cases that are actually are relevant to our organizations that can be taken forward and move from the POC stage into the real production. And we really need to be able to measure what is the impact, what is the business impact of what we are actually trying to do. And lastly, I think it was AI who spoke about this culture. We need to have a culture of innovation. It's through the culture of innovation that we are able to unleash what we are able to do in various public sector organizations. And we've seen that across Africa. We've seen that in Kenya, and we've seen that in East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. And I think with that, we can then get into a few targeted questions. And I think the first one will be for Engineer Mwoki. So Engineer Mwoki comes from Kenya Power. And as some of you know, Kenya Power, in as much as it's an electricity company, is also involved in rollout of fiber across, as part of the connectivity agenda for government. So I want to ask Engineer, in your view, what core infrastructure must be in place to support artificial intelligence, so that then deployment in public institution makes sense? Do you see AI making any sense from an infrastructure perspective?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Infrastructure is very important in implementation of AI. Why? The endpoints must communicate with the server environment. The endpoints must communicate with the application portals. The endpoints must also have connectivity. And definitely the data centers must be provisioned both in the country and also in the cloud. And all these require various infrastructures. Fiber connectivity is very important because that's one of the latest technologies we are using for communication. That has to be done to every other corner of this country. The government has done some initiatives of that. And at the end of it, we must see connectivity to the village, connectivity to the ward, connectivity to where government services are being offered, the chiefs, the sub-counties, the hospitals. Everywhere, we must have connectivity. This can only be done through a government-driven initiative. Then, of course, the issue of the data centers, backup data centers, and governance issues. That is, you must be having security control centers. You must be having cyber response teams. You must be having also the call centers to ensure all these services, and whether they are automated or not automated, or whether they are done purely on AI, AI to AI, or AI to people, they must have some governance and controls. So that infrastructure must be laid before you start calling on the developers and the end users to use these AI-related services. Thank you.
Thank you. So definitely you feel that infrastructure has a role to play for AI. Thank you very much.
Definitely.
I go to Frida. And Frida, and where you come from at TBI, I know you're engaged in quite a bit of research and governance issues. Maybe just to ask, what in your ways do you think government can build AI understanding? What do you think government can do better? And what would you say about governance and frameworks in AI for public sector?
Yeah, I think first to congratulate Kenya for putting in place an AI strategy. I think it's a couple of weeks ago. It's already building a foundation towards moving into what are we solving for as a country, and then what are the regulatory frameworks that would then be encompassed. So that's a first. The second has to do with building capabilities within government. So you know that within public sector you will have both those that understand technology and those that do not. So moving very quickly for government to build capacity for such groups of individuals. Also considering face-off of some of the skills that are within government. One of the things as an institute we have done, and it's not about face-off, but building capability so that you have a critical mass of champions within government to move it forward. And I like what one of the keynote speakers spoke about. So last year as an institute, we had good co-development session with government, thinking through who are likely to be critical champions within government for an AI strategy coming up. And then out of that, then it's working together, government, academia, public sector, to then what are the critical skills that are needed to build capacity for the strategic level and also the tactical, even as the organization moves forward. The other area to do in terms of skills is ensuring that all of what the workforce within government then understands the opportunities in experimenting. While government is working through building policies and guardrails on governance, which is very critical. Also, how swiftly a government encourages public sector and ecosystem players to come in and experiment, not just for piloting or use cases, but then advancing it. That will be one of the ways government can know that they are ready and that the skills level and capabilities within government are okay. The other one is about reforming, for example, the procurement processes, but it does start again with the question you've asked around skilling. So there will be a different regime of how procurement is done within government. There will be a sense of agility that is needed within government. So those are some of the things that are happening across the continent. Kenya, I think, was the 18th. Namibia today spoke about also putting together their own digital strategy. So that means 19 out of 50, 4 countries are already thinking through governing, thinking through experimentation. But remember, countries will be at different levels. There are those who've not started at all and they are perhaps risk averse. There are those who've started, there are those who are advancing. So within governance, then you have to have your best fit. This is where we are as a country, and these are the things that we want to solve for. And then I think also dedicating resources within government to say, we would like to have either data sharing mechanisms or would like to have digital libraries where data is available so that the ecosystem can also be able to participate. So those are the thoughts around how then a government can move from being risk averse to now being experimental, because this is a space of high levels of experimenting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It seems that you have really engaged with the government. It's really interesting to hear all these 19 commitments that you have mentioned. I want to quickly move to Joanne, and just to find out from Joanne, based on what it is that you do, in your view, what do you think is the role of regulatory sandboxes or innovation hubs? What do you think, what role would they play in helping governments to adapt to AI?
Thank you, Mike, for that. So what I've understood from my years of experience in engaging with AI hubs and sandboxes, first of all, a sandbox would help us, and I know most of us are technical people would understand this environment, would help us test AI models or AI innovations in a safe space. Now, I know there's a lot of rush into structuring or creating policies into AI systems, because everyone is using it left, right, and center. But you see, what's happening with the AI innovations and sandboxes, they give you a safe space to work on your models or work on innovations before scaling. So how would this help a government in retrospective? Through iteration processes. So what we are talking about, I might not have a very good idea of how many AI innovations are being created, but based on the conversations I've had since this morning from the ICT CEO, I think he talked about with the intention of creating 42 AI innovation hubs. So as a government, and I'm talking here as a citizen and an entrepreneur, let this not just be based on the book kind of policy or structural indication of what needs to be done. We need to take that to the next step, which is the practical session of it. And for us to be able to practice and test our AI out restrictions and identify gaps where now we need to create policies, we need to bring them to life. And this is where sandboxes create such kind of spaces. If this could have an oversight of, committees or teams that will make sure that these are implemented within our counties or within our institutions, within our companies, wherever government is planning to roll out, AI innovations, then every AI innovation should be managed through a safe AI innovation hub. That way, we don't have to keep on worrying about what it's going to do of it at risk. We are able to manage the risk at a safe space while we are testing, the AI innovations. So the sandboxes and the AI innovation hubs are very key, especially when we are talking about rolling out our AI innovations or AI strategy. Let's start from small spaces, safe spaces where there are no rules, and what works should be scaled now throughout the country. That's what the connection is between our innovation hubs and our government.
Given the answer you've given, and I ask this because you're in private sector and this is what you basically do.
Yeah.
How then do you see governments coming to co-create AI solutions in universities, in private sector, to then make sense out of it? What would you say about that?
So that's interesting because number one, our youth are the most known to adapt AI so fast. And here's a fact. 89% of young people between the age of 13 and 18 only use AI every single day. And out of the 89%, 64 do not even identify when an AI hallucinates. So that means the kind of information that is coming from our youth, or rather our young people who are using AI, is not identifiable, or rather is not truly exploited. So the question is, we might want to go straight ahead and partner with our universities, but the first thing we need to do is to acknowledge the fact that we are still at the learning trajectory. Yes, AI is being used, but we need to put a stop and where the buck stops. And this is what I mean. For example, Frida and I come all the way from primary school. As you can see, it tells we still use our notebooks in writing. That's how I learn. That's how I feel. And I know we are getting to the technological space, but here's the thing: our children, our grandchildren. Please don't misconstrue this information. I do not have grandchildren, but you know what I mean. Our grandchildren, the generations that follow us, are still learning, and they're learning at a very fast pace. So the responsibility of our government, number one, is not only look at the urban application of it, and here I mean education. First is to make sure that our rural areas are involved. This is what I mean, Mike. We are really looking at what is happening around the world, and we're forgetting our cultural predisposition. What are we doing about our rural areas? And here I want to challenge Engineer Mwoke. We need power first. Remember, I've not mentioned food.
Yes.
We need power first so that we can cook the food, because if our youth practice AI within our, an when they go back home where their mother is, they don't even have power. So how are you ensuring that sustainability across all our sectors, everyone is involved from that perspective? So here I'll talk about, first, we need pure digital infrastructure that involves power. Second, we need food. You cannot learn from a hungry stomach, right? So as much as we want to empower our young people to take up, AI, Kenya is taking it up, Africa, we want to innovate. Why would you want a child to come to the classroom when they're hungry? How do you expect them to be the future? And then lastly, AI education. Once they can see what is around them and they're well fed, then educate them to take up the future of Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And I guess you can already see if there was something called manual AI, I can already guess someone's age because they say they're in school together. So I think we are getting there. Now, I want to ask this question to Sam, and I showed someone these questions, and I was told this is a very unfair question for Sam because he then gets a competitive edge over the competitors in answering this question. So I'll ask Sam, nevertheless, what do you think are the most promising use cases for AI in public sector? I can see this is unfair because you're from AWS. Maybe you've done something for government. I do not know. But what then can you say? And you can also mention use cases from your competitor. It's allowed.
We live in an unfair one. So it's okay. So maybe let me start with public sector and natural language processing. Just when I was in this room today morning, the MC mentioned about Vambo AI, right? Which, just to quote him correctly, has done 40 languages. That's amazing already. These are local companies, local ISVs. Yesterday, I heard about Simba AI, which is the first Kenya local dialogue chatbot, right? In East Africa, we've seen local partners developing large language models around their languages like Kiswahili. And what they are doing is now they are wrapping those languages, to commercialize them.
Okay.
Whether it's for public sector, whether it's for commercial use, but they're already putting different wrappers for healthcare, for financial services, for government. That's amazing. Also, we see, again, just around the same thing, public sector, in all East Africa countries, that theme of really trying to create local language LLM, it's a big buzzword, but it's being done by local companies. As AWS, we believe in empowering local partners who are close to the edge to be able to develop some of these systems in partnership with different AI players. I'll talk a little bit about agriculture as well because it's big. You heard about food, right? You can't develop on an empty stomach. So Cynthia just in the morning mentioned about DigiFarm, which is already an AI developed on an AI engine that is able to tell how much input, credit, and markets that farmers are able to sell to. When I was coming in this room, I met one of our customers as AWS who's using precision agriculture to be able to determine weather pattern, soil conditions, and health of the crop. And by that, they increase the crop yield tenfold, right? And by doing that, they create more wealth for the farmers. Then I'll move a little bit into healthcare because health is a big topic, even in Kenya. We are all talking about SHA-SHIF and all that. So health is critical. So we've seen across East Africa, I will not mention specific which countries, but we've seen countries developing national health intelligence systems that is collecting information across different healthcare facilities, putting it all together, analyzing it, and being able to use that to make policy and make decisions that are evidence-based. When I visited this country, I was very impressed. This center, they could actually be able to tell in a remote health clinic, there is medicine there. If you've gone to hospitals, you know that problem. You go to the pharmacy and there's no medicine. And so you have to go to a pharmacy outside. But in this country, they are able to tell because all information is brought to the National Health Intelligence Center. When that information is there. They can know where medicine is and where it's not. And where if there is no medicine in clinic A, healthcare facility A, and it's in healthcare facility B, they'll use a drone to send medicine there. So quite intuitive, all done using the power of technology, and in this case, AWS technology. I'll also talk a little bit. Actually, Robin already talked about intelligent document processing when he talked about the sample, trying to tell which blood sample type, right? So instead of shifting through dozens of papers, using AI, you're able to really just get that into minutes, and it can mean life and death, as just by what he said. But also, if you look in especially in rural areas, maternal health is quite a challenge. Mothers are not able to accurately judge their pregnancy and get child information, right? Childbirth information. In some communities, I know there are people who've been named because they were born maybe on the roadside, when the sun was shining, etc. Those kind of things. They were there those times. Maybe not in the era of AI now. But now with the maternal health chatbots, maternal mothers are able to get information. And this can be, it doesn't need to be on an iPhone or a Samsung. It can even be on a future phone. This is quite powerful. Of course, we have also what we call health scribes, where doctors are able to summarize what they are doing with their patients and get that information quite fast. Then lastly, and very important, education. So I encourage all of you to spare some time in the 3 days that we are here for, rather, to pass through our stand AWS. When you get in, it's right at the door. So one of the use cases we are showing is on education, where you can take, for example, approved curricula, let's say in science, and you can use, put it in soft copy, and use a model at the back of it, and sort of, this is for like if teachers are setting exams. So it can help you set exams. And of course, when they set the exams, of course, the tutor has the ability to look at it, make sure it's correct so that there's no hallucination. But once that is done, it's also able to mark for you and grade for you. That significantly reduces the amount of time that a teacher has to to do. So those are some of the use cases, and there are many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sam. I couldn't help notice how Sam was bragging about the positioning of their stand. It's in a corner that many people fought for, and I guess he's just trying to show someone specific in this room that didn't get that stand. We all know who they are. It's only the three of us who know. Okay, so thank you. So I think we'll just get the team to give us their parting shots. But before we do that, we want to allow for any questions from our audience today with regard to this particular panel. Any open questions about AI in the public sector? Okay. Okay, we have a hand here. Is any the second hand there? And a third one, I think. So I think we start the lady here.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Jacqueline Madara from Machakos University. We know AI, the source is the youth. And being in a university, I know they do models like almost every hour, scattered all over. Some are hosting in different clouds. None of it is local. My question is specifically on aligning to the government setup in terms of curriculums. You realize that our students are acquiring the knowledge away from the content that are being trained in the universities. How is it that you, the key players, can influence the curriculum development? At younger age, students are doing models, even at the age of primary level. They jump into university the course they're being trained is way back, programming languages that were phased out. Nobody's training AI, and yet from high school, they had that exposure. So how do we align that in terms of training?
Okay, thank you very much, Jacqueline from Machakos University. That's a very valid question. We can take another one. Saw some hands there.
Hello, my name is David from a company called Sapache. So my question goes to Sam. You mentioned about delivery of medicine and also keeping. So based on your experience, is the major problem a technical infrastructure or a policy issue? Thank you.
That has been asked very straight and direct. Thank you. I suspect he's the CEO of that company. Check. Next question. There was a hand somewhere there.
Yeah, my name is Francis Wambua from Kenya School of TVET. I want to think about AI in inclusivity. As we come up with the models for training, especially our learners in online platforms, are we having those AI models that are able to do multimodal services, so that if a learner is a learner looking for signing, does the AI recognize the learner and then sign so that the learner is not excluded in the learning journey? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So maybe we will take those questions and we'll start with the first question. The first question was from Machakos University. And I think Jacqueline Madam wanted to know that none of the AI content seems to be local. Students acquire knowledge that seems to be out of the university setup. She also alluded to the fact that as our students are growing up and interacting with the education system, they seem to be exposed to AI, but when they get to university, that seems to retrogress. Okay, so I do not know between Joanne and Frida, who are heavy on research and education. Maybe we will start with Joanne and then Frida can take it up. Okay.
Thank you. As you'd say, that's a valid question, and this is where I'll start. Right. First of all, the reason that our lecturers and our educators are not transferring AI knowledge, or rather our learners are not receiving AI knowledge, is because we have not made aware our educators on AI. Now, this is a valid point. Reason being, we cannot give from an empty cup. We cannot expect our teachers to go into the classroom and start using AI technologies. As a matter of fact, they don't even have to use AI technologies. They just have to be knowledgeable about the AI topic. And this is a key point in as leaders. Here, I'm not only talking about government. I'm in the education sector, and one of the things we have taken initiative is to train teachers first before they go to the classroom, and also start introducing artificial intelligence. This I can confirm we're doing in both Kenya and Nigeria. We are trying to formulate policies that the universities and institutions will adopt to to implement AI as a basic education. But before our learners get to take that up, our teachers need to understand and buy into that, because they cannot get into that. Not only that, and I'll further talk about this from Tech Mindset Africa, we educate Africa from a non-technical perspective. You as a parent, you as a sister, you as a brother, we cannot influence or manage or control your child if you don't know what you're controlling them against or towards. So the first thing is, as leaders, as mothers, as fathers, as brothers and sisters, as key decision makers, let us take that initiative and learn artificial intelligence from a basic perspective first. And anyone whom we interact moving forward then would take that up and then now take that to schools. That would be my feedback to Jacqueline.
Okay, thank you, Frida.
Yeah, let's say you've just described what is in the Kenya's AI strategy, so that you've saved me 50% of the work. So the approach we've taken as an institute is through immersion. So when we are having conversations with government around thinking through perhaps digital skills, I think I gave an example of having champions. So that's the first. But the second is that as public sector is also capacity built, then they do have an immersive experience of getting to know what is in the ecosystem. Because remember, they're on the inside doing policy, but then you do need to write down policy that solves for something. So what my Waike? Yeah, so what she's spoken about is there a gap? And to be able to bridge it, it means then it's good for both academia and government institutions to have this experience jointly to say this is already happening within the ecosystem. Then how do we solve for it in the digital curriculum? The other thing I have observed, especially within the Kenyan ecosystem, is even in the development of the AI strategy, there was also inclusion of university students, not even now lecturers, because then they are able to talk about what they're doing when it comes to online jobs and getting to use AI, the deployment, development of models, so that then the context of how the national strategy is developed sort of also considers what is already happening in the ecosystem and clears spaces of assumption. Then finally, on just delivery, if I can pick that with TVETA because it's almost similar.
Okay.
So on multimodal services, last November, one of the things that the Kenyan government also did, and we have seen it happening across the continent where there is AI readiness and moving forward, there is conversations around multimodal services. So one of the other sure way of knowing that a country is really deploying and using will be that you start to see, like on e-government services, multimodal availability. And I have seen the ICT Authority having conversations with Maseno University, University of Nairobi, USIU, Strathmore around that, including even models, I think, on accurate logistics that has been modeled by like the University of Strathmore University. So that's it. As the two merge, then you start to identify where the gaps are and have policies that then will drive the right, digital skill setup. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you've also taken up a question asked by Francis Wambua around the multimodal services. So thank you very much. Quite proactive of you. Also good to mention what ICT Authority is doing in that breadth. I also think in addition to that, there's an area which we can focus on putting more traction with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. I do know that we have a cloud service for that. I know that stages of developing it further into the higher education levels is something that's work in progress, but I think as that matures, that should be able to solve that problem. I think the only other question left was by David, and his question was to Sam, and it was a very direct question. Delivery of medicine, the challenges that are therein. Is it tech? Is it regulatory? What is the challenge there? And I'm happy that this question is going to Sam being a technology delivery person with AWS, needs to be having solutions to problems. And here is one such problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Don't throw me under the bus. So I don't think we have a technological problem. Technology is an enabler. And where we are now, it's sort of pervasive. It's there, right? I wouldn't say it's a cost problem. But, I've had this conversation coming up a lot that different organizations, different countries at different levels, right, of growth of maturity and of adopting different things, including technology. So you might find that whereas in one country they are advanced in X, Y, and Z, perhaps in our country or any other country, we are advanced in another area. So there are some structural challenges, of course, but it's a matter of time, right? Because I also would want, in the village where I come from, I would love, even in the cities, for medicine to be delivered like that. But I would think it's a journey, and we will get there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think we need to come to a close. And we'll give the panelists an opportunity, just one sentence, creative sentence out of you, maybe just to tell us what, in your view, is this one step that African countries can take in their journey towards building an AI-ready future? I'll start with Frida, just coming up to this end.
Hello. Yes. Yeah, wake up. I saw some of you. So governments have a really profound opportunity, not only to enable rails, like what the presentation AWS in the morning was, around, we will start to see piloting and use cases, but they will enable rails for scale. So governments have the capability to enable, AI deployment within public sector at scale. The second thing governments have is the opportunity to use it, because if you don't use it, then it's hard to convince your neighbor that it's a good thing. So starting to see government using it in how it improves efficiency, how it transforms jobs, like maybe from a postal clerk to a data analyst, within the e-commerce ecosystem, and so on and so forth. Thank you for this
Thank
invitation.
you. Thank you very much, Frida. And Engineer Sam Woki.
Thank you. For me, we need to focus seriously on building infrastructure. With all these ideas in the mind, that information must be consumed. For it to be consumed from end user to any other end user or even by AI, we need that infrastructure. Both ICT infrastructure and electricity infrastructure. The other thing is we need to seriously build data. Serious data portals. Data portals which will enable me, if I'm a robot, deliver medicine to my grandmother. We have been doing digitization as Kenya Power, and I can tell you within one district, you can find 4 towns called Junction or Makutano. You are coming from Nairobi to Kitui, there's Makutano Mwala, there's Makutano Machakos, there's Makutano Chumvi, there's Makutano Tala, there's Makutano Masi. Now, which of those towns will the robot deliver the medicine? So we seriously need to build data that is very, very unique in that it can be used by these AI devices. So we must build serious data portals. We must build serious data centers to store this local information so that AI can make use of that information, because information in AI is very, very serious thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what engineer is saying is that as we name our towns, let's come up with a naming convention so that those Makutanos have a code. Joanne, maybe from you.
Seems engineer and I come from the same village. So I relate to what he was saying. And this is my part in short. Let us humanize AI. What do I mean? As much as we are government, as much as we are AI technologists, as much as we are AI educated, every innovation, every idea, every implementation, every thought should come alongside with a human involvement. What do I mean? When we are in our silos, developing in isolation, remember someone's life education, work is at risk. But as organizations, and I believe this can be Africa First or Kenya First, what can we do to ensure instead of replacing, our teams, replacing our PAs, because yes, we are going to be replaced, instead of taking away jobs as leaders, CEOs, as employers, what policies are we going to put in place to make sure that there is a transition to the better good, not replacement? So I am a big advocate of humanizing AI in everything we do. Let's put the human emotion, and you'll see the transformative changes that Africa will get into the future.
Thank you very much, John. And finally, Sam.
Okay, so AWS launched a public sector impact initiative fund. It's a 50 million US dollars to help public sector organization experiment with Gen AI.
Okay.
It is available to you in the room. Let us use it. Come to our stand, let us sign you up. Let us start. As Philip Thigo just said, Ambassador Philip Thigo, we are in a race.
Mhm.
We are seeing what's happening in Saudi Arabia. We are seeing what is happening in UAE. We are seeing what's happening in Abu Dhabi. They're investing seriously in that race. So let's go. Let's make history together.
Thank you very much. Couldn't end that better. Let's go. Let's make history together. And I think with that, we'd come to the end of our panel. Mine is just to request that we appreciate the panelists even as we end this session. Thank you very much. Yes, so I think we will stand for a photo session together.